So if there's one thing that will completely transform your body and your health, it's knowing how to effectively train and diet properly. But with so much information out there, it's pretty hard to find the right effective method for you to follow. Many people swear by their diets or their training plans, but no one actually teaches you what the right method is to follow. But thankfully, after decades of scientific research, we now have proper methods that anyone can follow in order to transform their physique. My name is Sizwe and I've been training for over 10 years now. But believe it or not, I've faced the exact same challenges that you're currently facing now. How to build muscle, burn fat, and completely transform my physique. At first, I spent a lot of time following ineffective methods like doing a diet that I didn't like. I did the keto diet, I did the liquid diet, hell, I even did the carnivore diet. And all of this was just in the aim of losing fat and building muscle. But the problem was, I didn't enjoy any of these diets. So in the short term, I saw results. But in the long term, I ended up quitting on my diet and going back to square one, which was being a big fat chubby mess. But then I came across scientific literature which showed me the correct methods to follow in my training and in my dieting. And after that, my whole life changed. My physique completely transformed. I was able to build more muscle, I gained more strength, and I even competed at high rocks. I did all of this while eating out, enjoying my favorite foods, not following a strict or restrictive diet, or spending hours in the gym doing cardio, trying to lose fat. In this course, I'm going to show you exactly how you can achieve this so you can finally stop yo-yo dieting and get in the best shape of your life, not just for summer, but forever. You get your own 6-week training plan with over 50 private exercise tutorials so you know exactly how to execute each exercise. You also learn how to set up your own diet, and even more importantly, you learn how to incorporate cheat meals in your diet so you can treat yourself to your favorite foods every day. So what are we waiting for? Let's begin. Okay, before we begin, I've also included this free fat loss playbook that you can use. It will cover all of the chapters that we're going to talk about in this course, but it's also to ensure that you're not only just consuming what I'll be talking about, but you're actually implementing it into your own life. The playbook also includes 3 6-week training programs, and they're completely free. So if you want that, scroll down to my description, click on the link, and you'll get it. All right, let's begin. Everyone who has trained or dieted before has seen results. The only problem is those results are short-term, not long-term. The reason why this happens is that people don't realize that getting lean for a short-term event, like a holiday, a photo shoot, or a wedding, is completely different to getting and staying lean in the long term. In the following chapters, we'll go through strategies on how you can achieve this. But before we get into that, give me 60 seconds to explain exactly how fat loss works. Fat loss occurs because of a calorie deficit. All foods contain calories, some more than others. When you consume less calories than you burn, you lose weight. When you consume more calories than you burn, you gain weight. You consume calories through eating food, and you burn calories in 4 different ways. First, there's your resting energy expenditure, which is the amount of calories your body burns just to function. Second, there's exercise. And this is the amount of calories that you burn whenever you're exercising. Third, there's NEAT, or non-activity exercise thermogenesis. This is the amount of calories you burn through doing daily activities outside of exercising, like walking, standing up and down, or fidgeting. Then there's the thermic effect of food, which is the amount of calories you burn when your body is digesting anything that you eat. Now let's say you add that up and it equals 3,000 calories. If you tally up everything you eat in a day and it equals 3,500 calories, then you will gain weight. But if you consume 2,500 calories, then you will lose weight. Now, most people make the mistake of thinking that exercise burns the most calories, but that's a myth. A normal 30-minute jog burns only about 300 calories, which you could easily consume by eating a peanut butter and jam sandwich in less than 5 minutes. So the best way to lose fat is by being in a calorie deficit and consuming less calories than you burn. And to do that, you need to learn how to track your calories, which we'll cover next. When I was 14 years old, I had this massive crush on this girl, but I was just so scared to talk to her, I never did anything about it. But one day, after soccer practice, I struck up the courage and I finally went to speak to her and ask for her number. But she said no. I asked her, why? She said, because you're too fat. Damn.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I was crushed, but I thought to myself, hey, if I lose just a little bit of weight, maybe I might still have a shot. So I decided from that day onwards, I was only going to eat meat and veggies, nothing else. I was determined to lose weight. I told the kitchen staff at my boarding school, meat and veggies. If they offered dessert, I pushed it to the side. If they offered bread, I pushed it to the side. If they offered rice, I pushed it to the side. If it wasn't meat and veggies, I didn't eat it. I stayed strict on my diet for 30 days straight. No dessert, no cheat meals, nothing, just meat and veggies. And on the 30th day, I was ready to hop on that scale. I knew I was a transformed man. I felt light, I felt energized, and hey, I was a new man. So I stepped on that scale, and do you know how much weight I lost? Drum roll, please. A big fat 0 kgs. I lost nothing at all. And I was so confused. Why? I did everything the magazine said. No cheat meals, no carbs, meat and veggies. And yet I still didn't lose weight. My dreams were crushed. Why? Well, looking back now, it's quite simple why. It's because I wasn't in a calorie deficit. Yes, I wasn't eating carbs and I wasn't eating desserts, but I was still eating high calorie foods. The meat I was eating was fried in fat, which is high in calories. I was having ribs covered with gravy, which is high in fat and also high in calories. And all of that meant I was still in a calorie surplus, even though I had eliminated all these other foods. And that is the biggest mistake that 99% of people make. They think that just because I eliminated certain foods means that I will lose weight. But when it comes to losing weight, it's all about being in a calorie deficit. So it's not about eliminating certain foods, it's more about staying in a caloric deficit until you reach your fat loss goal. So in the next chapter, we'll discuss how to start tracking calories until you reach your goal. Now that you know the basics of losing weight, let's cover how you can start tracking your calories. To begin, you're going to need one of these. A food scale to help you weigh everything that you eat. And you need a calorie tracking app to log all your food. Go to the App Store and download an app called Fat Secret. I like using this app because firstly, it's free, and second, I'm from South Africa and it has all South African foods on it, which makes it easy to track. Go to this website and enter your age, your sex, your weight, your height, and your activity levels, and you'll get your estimated maintenance calories. Don't fixate too much on this number. It's just an estimation that shows the number of calories your body uses to maintain your weight. Next, go back to Fat Secret, click on goals, and enter your daily calorie intake from the website. And now you can start tracking. Your job for the next couple of weeks is to weigh everything that you eat, log it on your food tracking app, and make sure that you get your calories down to 0 by the end of each day. That's the fundamentals of tracking your calories. But in order for you to lose fat while still maintaining muscle, we need to ensure that your macronutrients are in the correct ratios, which we'll cover in the next chapter. Nearly everything you eat is made up of calories, and those calories are categorized into 3 macronutrients. First, there's your protein, which is responsible for building and maintaining muscle. And second, there's your carbs and your fats, which are responsible for providing your body with energy so you can build more muscle. The most important macronutrient in this program is protein, because it will help you maintain or even build muscle while you're losing fat. So we need to make sure that you're getting enough protein on a day-to-day basis. In order for this to happen, you need to be eating enough protein. To get this amount, go back to Fat Secret, click on goals, and scroll down to macronutrient goals. Once you're there, set your protein intake to 30% of your total calories. Set your carbohydrate intake to 50% of your total calories, and set your fat intake to 20% of your calories. And that's it, you're all set. These ratios will ensure that you're losing fat and maintaining muscle in the coming weeks. Next, we're going to look at calorie tracking tips that will save you time and ensure that you stay on track with your diet. Now that you know everything you need to know when it comes to losing weight, you're probably tempted to slash your calories in half and lose weight as fast as possible. But that's a big mistake. Sure, low-calorie crash diets do work in the short term, but in the long term, they lead to muscle loss and long-term weight regain. I experienced this myself. I did a crash diet and lost 8 kgs in a month, but I gained 12 kgs in less than 2 weeks after that. This was because my metabolism was ruined and I had uncontrollable cravings. So if you want to get lean and stay lean for the long term, you need a better approach. In the next chapter, we'll look at 2 strategies to help you not only lose fat, but keep it off in the long term. The first long-term strategy is to diet slowly so that it doesn't even feel like you're dieting at all. You should aim to lose 0.5 to 1% of your body weight each week. For example, if you weigh 100 kg, you should aim to lose no more than 1 kg per week. The next question is, how long should I diet for? I recommend dieting until you've lost about 10% of your starting body weight. So in our 100 kg example, you would aim to lose 10 kgs in 10 weeks before you take a diet break. Now this might seem slow, but taking your time with your diet makes the process a lot easier to follow. It's better for muscle retention. It's safer for your hormones like testosterone and your thyroid hormone. And it's more flexible. You have the option of eating out when you feel like it instead of staying restricted to the same food week in, week out. And because your diet won't feel restricted, you're less likely to quit or burn out during the whole fat loss process. To make sure you're losing 1% of your body weight per week, reduce your maintenance calories by 20%. To do this, take your current maintenance calories and deduct 20% from it. If you're not sure how to get your maintenance calories, go back and watch chapter 4. If you're like me, you probably get strong food cravings at night. The problem is those cravings are usually for foods that are high in calories, which can push you into a calorie surplus and slow down your fat loss. One way to fix this is by using a strategy called macro backloading. Here's how it works. You eat mostly protein earlier in the day, keeping your carbs and your fats low. Then you enjoy your carbs and your fats later on in the day when you usually start having cravings. A sample meal plan would look like this: a protein smoothie and eggs for breakfast, a chicken salad and fruit for lunch, which are both high in protein but very low in carbs and fats. And you would have rice and chicken stew and a dessert of your choice for dinner. This works well because you stay in a calorie deficit throughout the day, and when nighttime hits and you start to get those cravings, you curb them away by eating your favorite carbs and fats while still being in a calorie deficit, which prolongs your fat loss. I'm sure this has happened to you before. You go on a diet and you start losing weight easily. But after a couple of weeks, that weight loss stalls and you start to see less and less progress. And before you know it, you're demotivated, you're disappointed, and you end up quitting on your diet. It's important to understand that this is completely normal. As you lose weight, the amount of calories you burn slowly decreases. And as a result, you won't see as much weight loss as you saw when you initially started. This is called metabolic adaptation. Or in simpler terms, it's when your body is reluctant to lose fat. When this happens, and it will happen, you can do one of 2 things. First, you can decrease the amount of calories you consume even further. In our previous example, you would decrease your calories from 20% to 30%. But it can be unsustainable because you'll be more hungry, which increases the chances of you relapsing and binge eating. Your second option will be to increase your overall activity. This can be done by increasing your daily steps, exercising, which we'll cover in a later chapter, or by accepting that your fat loss will take longer and be slower than anticipated. A diet break is when you pause your fat loss diet for 2 to 3 weeks and instead you eat at your maintenance for that period of time. So let's go back to our previous example. If a 100 kg person diets for 10 weeks and loses 1 kg per week, they'll now weigh 90 kgs. At this point, they can take a diet break and eat at their new maintenance calories for 2 to 3 weeks. At the end of the diet break, they'll go back to a calorie deficit and continue on with their fat loss diet. Fat loss is a stressor on your body, and your body is reluctant to follow fat loss for long periods of time. So the longer you diet for, the less likely you will be able to adhere to your diet. A diet break will help you by giving your body and mind a rest, improving your ability to stick to the diet, reducing food obsession, and helping you maintain long-term weight loss. I must mention that diet breaks are only necessary if you have a lot of weight to lose. For example, if you have 20 kilos to lose, adding 2 or 3 diet breaks in that period would be suitable. But if you only have 5 kgs to lose, then it's not really necessary. Now, I must also mention that a diet break is not an excuse to have a cheat week or eat junk food. You're simply increasing your calories back to maintenance, not overeating. And you're doing this for a short period of time before you get back to a calorie deficit and continue with your fat loss progress. You've heard that alcohol makes you fat, and that stereotype makes sense. Most men who drink beer have beer bellies. But just because something makes sense doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Alcohol is not the reason why most people gain weight. It's what people eat and drink with alcohol that results in weight gain. Just think of the last time you went out for drinks. Did you have your drink with a grilled chicken salad, or did you have it with a burger and fries or pizza? Chances are it was the latter. Most people eat high-calorie foods when they drink alcohol, which is why they end up gaining weight. But luckily, there's a solution. You can still drink every single weekend while still losing weight. But before we get into that, let's quickly cover how alcohol is processed by your body. Your body treats alcohol like poison. Whenever you drink, your liver metabolizes and gets rid of alcohol as fast as possible, rather than storing it as energy like it does when you're eating normal food. This is why people with a fast metabolism usually get drunk the quickest. But the problem is, when you eat high-calorie foods while drinking, your body will prioritize metabolizing alcohol first and store everything else as excess energy. And that can lead to weight gain. But even worse, because alcohol can increase your appetite, most people end up binge eating high-calorie foods, which ends up in even more weight gain, especially if those foods are high in fat. Next time you go out drinking, here's what you should do. First, eat high-volume, low-calorie meals during the day. So, foods high in protein and fiber, but low in carbs and fat. Then, later on in the evening, drink low-calorie alcohols such as light beer, wine, or just straight-up shots. But avoid drinking cocktails or drinks mixed with sugary sodas. Next, as you're drinking, avoid meals high in fat and choose meals with high protein and high fiber. And finally, to improve recovery and avoid getting a hangover, drink plenty of water mixed with electrolytes before going to bed. If there's one man who's synonymous with cheat meals, it's The Rock. One look at his Instagram and you can see how much he indulges in his favorite treats, but at the same time he is still jacked and ripped even though he eats such high calorie foods. Why is that? Well, one of the reasons is because the dude is but a less controversial reason is because he plans his diet in such a way that he can afford to have cheat meals without gaining any extra unwanted weight. And that's what we're going to cover today. How you can include cheat meals into your diet without gaining extra weight. But before we even get into that, you must ask yourself, why the hell should you include cheat meals into your diet? The answer is pretty basic. It improves your adherence to your diet. If you continue eating the same foods week in, week out, you eventually get bored of your diet and you end up quitting. A cheat meal will help you not only get a mental reset, but also a physical reset and make your diet more sustainable in the long term. The first step to ensure that you can include cheat meals into your diet is by following a zigzag plan. This means lowering your calories during the week, but increasing them on the weekends. So for example, you can eat 1800 calories from Monday to Friday, but on Saturday and Sunday, you increase them to 2500 calories. Your weekly average will stay the same, so you still lose fat and continue to progress, but you also get to enjoy more foods on the weekends. So if you're someone who likes eating out, then the zigzag plan is perfect for you. Step 2, choose meals that are higher in carbs but lower in fats. Carbs are stored as muscle glycogen in your muscles. This means that when you have meals that are high in carbs, your muscles will look rounder and fuller the next day, and it can even improve your performance in the gym. However, fats are not stored in your muscles, and they won't improve your performance or your appearance. So when you are choosing a cheat meal, make sure that it is meals that are higher in carbs but lower in fats. Cheat meals that are high in carbs include pasta, cereals, pancakes, waffles, bread, and even sweets. Step 3, stay disciplined. Cheat meals are meant to be a reward, not an everyday thing. If you start having cheat meals every single day, you'll start gaining extra unwanted weight and derail all your progress. The better strategy is to stay strict on your diet throughout the week, and then you can enjoy your cheat meals on the weekend. Not only will this improve your adherence, but it will also allow you to enjoy your cheat meal without feeling shame or guilt as you're having it. Once you've reached your fat loss goal, there's no need for you to stay in a calorie deficit. But this is where most people fuck up. Instead of maintaining their results, they go back to their old eating habits, slowly gaining the weight back, and they end up back to square one, which is being a fat, chubby mess. This happened to me as well. After 3 months of dieting, I got very lean, but because I didn't have a post-diet plan, I gained all that weight back and had to start over. To prevent this from happening, you simply need to have a post-diet plan. And here's how to do it. First, you need to find your new maintenance calories for your new and lighter body. To do this, take the calories from the end of your fat loss diet and add 600 calories. For example, let's say at the end of your diet, you were eating 2,000 calories. The very next day, you should increase your calories to 2,600 calories. From there, slowly add more calories each week. If your weight starts to creep up, stop increasing calories, and that is your new maintenance calories. Now this works because you get to eat more without gaining fat, you avoid the rebound effect of binging after a long diet, and you feel less restricted while keeping your results. Now that's all you need to know about dieting and fat loss. In the coming chapters, we'll discuss all the fundamentals you need to know about training so that you ensure that you're not only losing fat, but you're also maintaining or even building muscle. When it comes to building muscle, there's only 5 things you need to know. And in the following chapters, we'll cover all of them in details, starting off with tension. Tension is the force that our muscles experience when they stretch and contract. In order for your muscles to grow and become stronger, you need to put them under tension. Or in simpler words, you need to lift heavy weights in order for your muscles to improve. If you get this right, you're 90% there. But in order for you to get that extra 10%, there are 4 other key points that you need to learn, which we'll cover in the next chapter. You need to push your sets hard. But unfortunately, most people don't do this, which is why they don't see results they wish to see in the gym. But how much should you push yourself? This meta-analysis found that as you go closer and closer to failure, you tend to see more and more muscle growth. So here's a practical way of how to push yourself hard. Let's say you're doing 3 sets of an exercise. Take the first 2 sets close to failure. This means you have enough energy to do 1 or 2 extra reps, but you don't because you're leaving some gas in the tank. But on your 3rd and last set, go all the way to failure, meaning you push yourself so hard that you can't physically do another rep because your body isn't capable. So let's say I aim to do 10 reps. I shouldn't be able to do the 11th rep even if I had a gun pointed to my head, because I have reached failure. Now it's hard and it will take a lot of effort from you. But if you get it right, you are guaranteed to build muscle. And that's a good trade-off in my book. Next, we'll look at how to always see progress, both with your strength and your muscle growth. If you keep doing the same thing week after week and month after month, your muscles will reach a plateau and you'll stop seeing progress. To prevent this from happening, you need to follow progressive overload, which is just a fancy way of saying you need to make each session harder than your previous session. There are 2 ways you can achieve this. First, you can add reps to the same amount of weight. For example, if you do 10 reps of bicep curls in week 1, you should aim to do 11 on week 2, 12 on week 3, and so on and so forth. Second, you can add weight at a fixed rep count. For example, on squats, you can do 3 sets of 6 reps with 2 plates each side, and then add 1 kilo on each side each week until you can comfortably do 3 plates of 6 reps. But in this program, you don't need to worry about that because your program will automatically change the reps and sets for you. All you have to worry about is showing up and training hard. Okay, we've covered a lot of different topics in this course, and I hope you got a lot of value from it. But even more, I hope that you take action and take what you've learned and implement it into your life. And in the spirit of taking action, please go down to my description and download my playbook. It will cover everything that we've learned, but it will give you a platform to plan your diet and plan your training properly so that you know that you're on the right path. Also, as mentioned, it includes those 3 training programs and they're absolutely free. This is free for anyone. So please, if you know someone that could benefit from this, please share this course with them or share the playbook with them and let them also transform their lives for the better. And last but not least, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch me blabbing on about fitness and nutrition. You could have done so many different things, but you chose to watch me, and I don't take that for granted. So thank you. Thank you so much. This is it. That's it. It is the how to get lean and stay lean forever. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.